Hey everyone, welcome back to Bucky's Customs. Hey, it's Saturday morning here and it's a really exciting day because I don't have to go to my day job and I get to play in the shop all day. I'm going to show you how I maintenance and clean my mill every Saturday like clockwork. I'm going to show you my routine and maybe you'll pick up some pointers here, maybe you won't, maybe it's stuff you already do, I hope you do. I keep my mill clean, and the reason why I do that is obvious. I think a clean mill is a happy mill, and as long as the long mill is clean, I know that debris and all that stuff isn't going to be the cause of something breaking down or ruining a project because it's an overabundance of buildup on the rollers or the wheels. So that's what we're going to do, so stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to Bucky's Customs. Yeah, usually my mill isn't like that, but it is Saturday morning, and I knew I was going to be cleaning it here this morning, so I go through a Saturday morning routine, and last night I ran the mill, and that's the way it was left. I needed to rush something through, and I got it done and delivered. But so I didn't take the time to clean it last night. Now, I go through a weekly routine. I'm going to show you step by step what I do. What you do is your business, but if you can gather some tips from this and maybe learn something that you didn't know, that'd be great. Before we get started with the project, I just have to say thank you to this week's sponsor, Sienci Labs, the makers of the LongMill Benchtop CNC, just like the one we use here in the shop every week. I love my mill. You will too. Go to their website, cnc.com, and order yours today. Now let's get back to our video. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fire up my G-Sender and I'm going to bring this thing down, bring the X-axis down so that I can reach it. And takes a minute to load up, so that's what we're going to do first. There we go. That was a little bit too fast for the machine. My computer is not the fastest. But keep in mind, the only reason I have a computer on this, and I have it all the time, is there's a laptop on this. And all I do is I do all my work on a better computer, a more powerful computer. And then I transfer everything that I'm going to use on the LongMill on a flash drive. And then I run it on G-Sender here. So, and I do have a screen recorder on this machine as well so that I can show you up close what I'm selecting, that kind of thing. Looks like I've got update downloaded and available to install. Restart now. Okay. Kind of looks like what we're going to do. Machine's going to restart. And I won't bore you with that. These are the tools I have to clean my mill, and typically what I will do first is I will clean this rail. That's why this machine is all the way back, and I did that for a reason last night, was so that I could clean this rail both sides, and as I bring this forward, clean these wheels all the way around both sides. But before we do that, I'm going to take my debris guard off so that I have full access to both these rails, and I'm going to do that right now.
What I'm doing here is removing the 4 screws holding the debris guard to the mill.
Now, I did a video on how I made this whole enclosure for the LongMill, and I'll put a link to that in the description as well, but there'll be a link. I'm trying to think of which side we're going to put it, probably right here. And you'll be able to go take a look at that. Maybe you'll want to do something like this for your mill. We will have to pull it forward in order to get that back piece off, and all I used was Luan, 1/4-inch plywood, and it works really well. It keeps debris and contained in the space, makes it easier to clean up, keeps your rails clean. Not totally, but I'll bet it takes care of 90%, So I usually do this with a screw gun, but I didn't want to make all that noise. So, all right, let's see, we're going to jog this forward. And we'll pull this one out. And I run this. A lot of my buds send me stickers. I trade stickers, so I try to put some stickers up there, but this is just a piece of aluminum that I had. And the back piece is the 1/4-inch as well. So I usually just set that aside, and now I got the front 2 screws. Now, in the feet for the long mill are holes in the front on the corners, on the corner feet. And that's what I use to fasten this debris guard to it. And it worked out really well. It gave me enough clearance. 1/4-inch gave me enough clearance to get by that. So, and there you go. That's the other side. So once you pull it past that last foot, you can slide it over, and then you can get this off. I guess what I'll do is I'll do this rail first. And it's pretty easy to do. It's not very hard at all. And what we do is I'll send this back with the G-sender. I usually bottom it out. Make sure that it's parallel. That kind of zeroes out for me. So then I don't even do the table. I don't clean the table or anything like that. First thing I do is I clean my rails, and I use, this is a dental or a denture toothbrush. No, I don't have dentures, but it works really well on the rail, and it gets this black stuff off that gets built up on our rails, and it has the plastic, and I usually rub the plastic on it too. If it won't come out, I'll just scrape it along. I'd rather use the plastic than metal. And typically it's not that bad because I do it every week. I can't imagine if I let this go and didn't do it every week and did a monthly. Oh my goodness, I think I would have issues with operation. I mean, I don't know for sure. I mean, you can leave me a comment if you let yours just build up and you only clean it once a month, or maybe you never clean it at all. I don't know. I've seen some pictures of some really clean ones, and I've seen some pictures of really dirty ones, but I can't imagine not cleaning it. It's just the way I am. So I like to take care of things. This is probably one of the most inexpensive hobbyist machines with commercial capability that you will ever find on the market today. Even though I didn't pay as much as our competitors, I still paid a lot of money for it, and I want to take care of it. I want it to last. So, and I think you do too. It's just, yeah, nobody wants to clean, but it's got to be done. Now I've gotten all the black. There was quite a bit on the top part of this, and there's some on these wheels. Now I have to get these bottom wheels as well, but I can do that with those brushes, those metal brushes. I don't push really hard on them. I just, while it's rolling, I just kind of get it, I run it back and forth a little bit, make sure I get it really good, and then, you know, I vacuum it, and that takes care of it. So I'm going to get to it. I'll just speed this up for you. I'll back the camera up so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, what also really works well are these Scotch-Brite pads. I really don't scrub and scrub. I just kind of run it across. That gets pretty much everything off that isn't chunky. And it usually doesn't get that way because I do this every week. And if you just take a little time and do it every week, it doesn't chunk up and get to the point where you got to scrape it off with a razor blade. So I usually take one of these to finish it up, and then I run the mill forward using these round bristle brushes to clean the wheels, run it back and forth. I'll get it up in here in the front, and then that way I can clean the back part of the rail, and then we'll be done with that, and we'll get it vacuumed, and then we'll go through and I'll show you how I all the screws and, you know, make sure everything is tight. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to take one of these wire brushes, probably this small one right here, and I'm going to ride it on top of the wheel as I bring this forward. So get this mouse over here, and again, we're going to have to bring it down into here and then go back and forth so that I can get both the top and bottom rails. Okay, so I'll show you what I'm doing. You can see that I just put the brush here and bring it forward, and basically not pushing hard. I am basically just kind of rubbing it on it just to get the crud off, and you could see how much gets built up on these wheels. I'm going to switch to a softer brush so I can get down into the crack. And we'll go back. Now you can see how much from, I don't know if you can see that right here. You can see it right there. How much of that gets on the wheel. You know, that's from the wheels. I'd cleaned all that, and that black is stuff that you just don't want building up on your mill, and you can see it all back here. Okay, you want to get all that off. That is about it for that. I'm going to use a pad and get that off of there. I'm going to use our pad and get it off the back, bottom. Okay. That gets it off nicely, and now we're going to take our brush and we're going to do the bottom wheels. We'll move this backwards so that it's between the brackets, and then I'm going to jog it forward, and I'm just going to use this soft bristle brush because the bottom, it's not all that dirty, so, and I'm just going to clean as I roll. Once you get your top rail and your bottom rail wiped off, your top wheels and your bottom wheels wiped off, you want to do both sides. And once you've gotten both sides done, then I usually take a vac and I vacuum it off. So that gets the debris off. And I'll even use an air hose a lot of times just to get all this debris off up here. But and then we'll get into the checks. So I won't bore you with any more detail on that, but these brushes really do work well. The soft bristle brushes work really well. I even have one here that I use. It's got, you know, in case you need to get into a specific area. It's also good to make sure that you do all of your screw drives. You want to make sure that they're clean. You vacuum them off, both sides, and then from there, like I say, it's maintaining, checking for, you know, making sure my wheels are tight enough, there's no play in any of the axes, and I'll show you how I do all that. That pretty much does it for cleaning. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start by checking all our wheels, making sure they're the right tension, there's no play or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my Z over to the middle of the X-axis and see my screw drives are clean. I made sure I vacuumed them off, blew them off with an air hose as well. And you want to make sure they stay clean as well. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to kind of feel this, and you know, I'm pushing pretty hard. So I feel a little play in there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to check my wheel tension. I can just turn that one. This one's very loose.
Okay, having play in the X gantry wheels is not uncommon at times. All we need to do is do the same thing we did when we assembled our mill and adjust the eccentric nuts to tighten against the rail.
Okay, what I did was I adjusted these top two so that we could get them both lined up, and they seem to just a tad, just a very tiny bit. That's all you need to move them. So I got them to where I like them. I could just barely turn them, and that's kind of where you want them. You know, there's no play, no rocking. We're good to go.
Okay, now with the X-axis completely adjusted, I'm moving on to the Y. And all I'm doing here is checking the wheels like I did in the X-axis for how easy they spin, just like we did when we assembled our mill. And depending on what I find here, and it kind of looks like we got a little play, we're going to have to go to adjustment. So we'll get our wrench out again and try to take some of this play out and tighten our Y-axis gantry up again so that there's no play.
Okay, I'm going to take this wheel off and inspect it a little bit better here, because I can't tighten this one up. So I just want to take a look at it and see if there's any issues. Chances are it's time to replace, and I think that's what we're going to do on this gantry. I bought new ones when I bought the mill just to have spares. Okay, so now what we got to do is, obviously I got an issue there, And I really didn't notice it because I've been cutting through stock. Didn't really notice. And I really do have an issue. I cannot tighten my Y-axis rail. So the wheels are too loose. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to replace all 4 wheels. And that's kind of what I'm going to do right now. Yeah, so what I did was I took the front off first completely. That were supported on the back here. The back ones are still on. I didn't loosen them at all yet. And we're doing the difficult side here for now. Let me get the new wheels.
So basically, we're going back to the beginning. When we built our mill, we can refer to any instructions that we may have printed, but to be honest with you, it is just so easy to go on the website, cnc.com, and follow the step-by-step instructions that we did when we built our mill. The only odd part about things for me in this case is I've got this enclosure and it's kind of restricted the amount of room I have to be able to get these wheels on, and that's what really took the time. This was not difficult at all. Basically, once I got it figured out in my head what to do here, I realized that, yeah, we need to put the bottom wheels on and then the top wheels with the eccentric nuts, and then we need to go ahead and adjust. And the easiest way to do this, as you'll see on the other Y-axis that I do, is with a wedge, and it is kind of a slick trick. The bottom wheels are fixed, they're not adjustable, so you tighten them and then you can use this wedge to hold them against the rail. So what we're going to do now is we're going to adjust the top wheels and make sure this has no play. Okay, now we have to adjust the top wheels and the eccentric nuts, and we do that a little at a time, very little at a time, and we end up with the same tension that we had when we built our mill back in the day. So I know it's all coming back to you now, right?
So that was fairly simple. It was a little tedious because of my box being there, and I didn't want to take it all apart and just to be able to get in there. But I did the hardest side, obviously, first. And yeah, those wheels looked like I couldn't get them tight enough. I had gotten the limit out of them. They weren't broken, they weren't dirty, they just wore. And I've been running this since September of 2020. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at 5 months into, so probably almost 9 months I've been running this, and generally almost every day. So I think that's pretty good. And I'm glad about the wheels ahead of time so that I had them here when I did this video, because I had no idea I'd be doing this during the video. I thought I'd just be showing you routine maintenance, but instead we got into replacing a wheel. And believe me, it's a lot easier to do when you're building the mill than it is to repair it like this, because you know, of all the enclosure I put into it and all that. But anyway, I've got them adjusted on the left side. Now I'm going to check the right side, and I think what I'm going to do is replace the wheels on both the Y-axes and call it new after that.
Switching over to the Y on the right, this is where I kind of learned a little bit from the other side. I took the bottom wheels off first and replaced them. What I did was I loosened the top ones so that it gave me enough play to put new ones on the bottom. Now what you have to remember in both cases, the left and the right, these wheels need a washer between the wheel and the gantry so that that gantry doesn't drag along your rail. So don't forget to put your washer back in. Okay, after struggling with the left side, I come up with this little wedge idea, and it worked out really well. It gave me the opportunity to put some pressure on the bottom wheels up against the rail and replace the top wheels. I also learned that you didn't need to take the nuts out of the hole of the gantry to put the wheel in. That could be done, with them in it, because I struggled a bit with that. But all in all, it worked out well and they got adjusted.
Okay, so what we want to do next here on our mill is check all of our screws, our set screws in our lead screws, these things here, right there. And we also want to check our anti-backlash nuts, and I do that just by snugging them up just a little bit, making sure they're snug. You don't have to over crank them, just a little bit snug, and I check them every time. I try not to put too much pressure on them. What we'll do is we'll take another Allen screw and we'll check these nuts here, make sure these screws are tight, and both sides. And we'll do the same thing on our lead screws here. And here we'll make sure this is tight. Just double checking here. Get that in there. Just make sure it's tight. It is.
Okay, these are anti-backlash nuts. They just need to be snug. You don't need to over tighten them. There's one on each Y gantry or axis and one on the X axis behind the Makita router.
Yeah, so it's really not much maintenance involved with the LongMill Benchtop CNC. It is very minimal, and if you stay with it, your rails will stay clean and you'll run into less issues. At least I believe you will. We went almost 9 months without replacing the wheels, and I use this a lot. I really do use it a lot. So I think I got good use out of that first set of wheels, and those wheels are not expensive. I'll put a link to those in the description below. So, and all the parts are available at Sienci.com. In their store, you can find all the parts that you might need for the LongMill replacement parts. And also, if you don't have a mill and you want to look into one while you're there, check them out. I'm sure you'll be happy you did. So, hey, listen, folks, if you like this video, please, if you haven't subscribed, if you're new to my channel and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and ring the notification bell so that you can get notified when I post another video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, everyone, and be safe out there.